Hey guys, Brad Gilmore here. Want to give a big shout out to our title sponsor, Walker Texas Lawyer. If you or a loved one have been injured in an accident, whether that be a car, truck, motorcycle accident, or some kind of other issue, hit up Walker Texas Lawyer at 713-552-1117 or walkertexaslawyer.com.
Oh, Brad, what have you done now?
Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Matthew McConaughey.
Brad Gilmore.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The legendary Mr. Christopher Lloyd. Christopher, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. Great introduction.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
Kelly Ripa.
Brad, thank you for having me.
Comedy.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
Chris Tucker is in the building. Chris Tucker, good morning to you.
Hey, Brad. Good morning to you. How are you?
Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias.
Good morning.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The legendary frontman of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, joins us right now. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, Brad. What looking to talk you me funny, lad.
Grammy Award winner Maya joins us.
How are you?
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, The Boat.
Brad Gilmore!
Thank you, Art. I appreciate it.
Brad, here's Kurtwood.
Hey, good morning, Kurtwood. How you doing, sir?
Good, Brad. And you?
I'm doing well. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Well, absolutely. So happy to be talking to you today because, the show, that 90s show dropped, I don't know, this morning at some point, I think. Anyway, sometime today. And, we had such a great time working on that show this year. And I think it really pays off. I think the show's really funny. And some really good scripts. Scripts sometimes are a little bit deeper than just the laughs, which is what we used to do on the 70s show.
Right, and it's interesting you bring that up because when I spoke to Deborah Joe about that 90s show, one of the things that came up is in the original season of that 70s show, it's 25 episodes. It's a lot of time to kind of get your character down, get the chemistry together with the cast. Nowadays, they don't really do 26 episode show orders. It's the first one's 10, and then these last one was 16. Was it hard in that first season to try to find the rhythm of the show, given it's only a 10-episode order?
What a good question. And I think that for Deborah Joe and it wasn't. I personally had a physical problem. My back had gone out really badly. So there was something that I had to deal with at the same time. But still, it's easy to see on the scripts how it develops. First we spend some time seeing the kids and understanding them individually. You throw a pack of kids at an audience and then afterwards give them a test as to who's what. I think, we would have failed miserably. But the show, the writers, Greg Metler and the writing team, I think were really on top of that. So I think once we kind of made the audience aware of who the individual performers were, then I think the show had really started to find its rhythm, because the rhythm, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little more into this than I intended to.
Go for it.
The rhythm is built into the script and built into the individual characters. So once these young actors found their characters in relation to the other characters of the show, especially the people that they're hanging out with all the time, once you find that, then you have a real rhythm of a show. Because it's based on character and not just something that's been forced onto them. And I think it was a brilliant way to do it, and it's really paying off now. because this year we started out pretty much where we left off, except the kids are now a little bit older and a little bit wiser, and still having a great time. I saw a bunch of them like before last. We did an event here in LA, and that the cast was at, and except for Deborah Jo, because she lives on the East Coast. Anyway, it's great seeing them again. They're all a little bit bigger than they were 6 months ago, but they're just as much fun to hang around with.
Yeah, and I'm sure when you have, you got to get the season 1 rhythm down, and then walking into this one, you and Deborah Jo, when I spoke to her, she said that for y'all, the chemistry was still there from that 70s because you worked on it so long. It had a bit of a, I guess, the proverbial riding the bike feel. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And I don't know if Deborah Jo mentioned it, but we had actually, we did a pilot together a couple of years ago. We played the parents of Nate Bargatze. Do you know him? He's a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, of course.
Wonderful comedian and a really great guy. And we played his parents, which was really a treat. I mean, they weren't the same character, so we were different, but still you're still working with your old partner, And she is such a totally talented person. I enjoy working with her every day.
That 90s show, of course, is out on Netflix today. You can see him right now streaming on Netflix. I'm talking to Kurtwood Smith. I had a question for you really as an actor, because I know you came up on the stage and you were a theater actor for a long time before you broke into TV and movies. And when you're a theater actor and then you get to do a show like this or that 70s that's a multicam sitcom in front of an audience, does that kind of feel more at home than doing a single camera film or movie?
Oh, absolutely. It's a different ballgame. And I mean, your acting chops are still basically the same, but the feeling that you get from a live audience is really special. And every Friday night when we show up and the audience is there, all of a sudden it's like we're at a rock concert. The audience just loves the show, and they're encouraged to respond, and they do. And so it's an absolute treat, and it does remind me more so of being on stage. There are a lot of other things that go on stage work that stage work has its own difficulties and problems. But the one good thing that we share is the audience.
And what's so great about... Yeah, go ahead.
It's how we knew this show was... going way back to the beginning of the 70s show, the way we knew that the show was working was because of the studio audience. They responded so quickly to these characters, and they didn't know them because the show hadn't been on the air yet. So first half of the season, they hadn't watched it on television first. So it was great to see how they responded, and that's how we knew we had a good shot at making this show work. And it did.
It did, and it continues to work with that 90s show. And it's so much fun for me to watch because I was such a big fan of the 70s show. And that 90s show, I think if you were a fan of the 70s, you like this show. And if you haven't seen that 70s, you're still going to like this show for younger viewers. I mean, it found a really great sweet spot in there. I had another one for you, though, as far as kind of the tools. I think every actor has tools in their tool bag, and they go and they grab them when they need them for a specific reason. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you in high school competed in speaking events and speech tournaments. I don't know if you did oral interp or extemporaneous or what your event was, but did you find that those things helped you when you went on the stage and then later on becoming an actor on film and television?
Oh, I think so. Absolutely. What I did mostly was oral interp, which was essentially telling stories. I mean, somebody else wrote them, but you're essentially telling your audience a story. And so when I thought I decided I'd give acting a try, so I took an acting class, and geez, just right away I loved it. But what had helped, but it had helped me so much by doing oral interp that I was used to performing in front of people. So when you start out acting, you know, and you're doing scenes and things like that, you not only have what's going on in the scene to worry about, but you're also first getting used to having people watch you, you know. And so I think I had a head start by exactly what you said, you know, by doing the oral interpretation.
Well, I'm just fascinated by all those kind of things that help us get to the point to where we are, where we, you know, grow into the performer I guess we're supposed to be. Last question for you. Again, that 90s show streaming now. Kurtwood Smith, the patriarch of the Forman family, is here on the line with me, and that was going to be my question. When you play that 90s, you know, the grandfather, and then that 70s, the father, and you're the patriarch of the family, does the cast kind of look to you as that? Do you become that for them on set, and do you find that they're kind of picking your brain, you and Deborah's brains, a lot on just tips of the tools of the trade, tips and tricks of things that they can do in their own careers?
Well, that's a very good question, and it has a kind of dual answer. One is we don't try to force ourselves on them, you know, by saying, hey, do this or don't do that, or you know, you're going to have to speak up a little louder because if I'm in a scene with you and I can't hear you, you know, that's just not going to work for the ensemble of the scene. But that's the way you would talk to any other actor. You know, if I was working with somebody I couldn't hear, I'd say the same thing. So in a sense, it's not so much that I'm acting like a father as much as I'm talking to another professional about something. And that's the way we treated the kids on the first show, and it's the way we treat them on this. You know, they're smart, they're brilliant kids, and they watch us. They watch us rehearse our scenes, and you know, and we know they do. They tell us that they do, and that's fine with me. And I you know, I feel. It makes me feel good to think that they would want to watch me work, you know, and I'm pretty sure it's like they're not watching what not to do. And so, you know, they're getting little things from us, but we have intentionally not taken on that role. I think it's more important to treat them like professionals than kids, you know.
Oh, I definitely understand. Well, that 90s show is streaming today on Netflix. Kurtwood Smith is on the line, and we just really appreciate you taking the time this morning to chat with us, Kurtwood. It's been an honor.
Oh, thank you so much. It's indeed my pleasure.